Thank you, Lee, and thanks to those who proposed me for this honor, and particularly to the selection committee of the Oklahoma Heritage Association. Frankly, most of us know that our children have a way of putting these matters in perspective for us. My daughter, my oldest daughter, did for me. Right after this came out in the newspaper the next morning, she called and she said, "Dad, I read about that honor you received." And with a little incredulity in her voice, she said, "What have you ever done that would warrant that kind of recognition?" Frankly, I was compelled to say, "Darling, that's a very appropriate question." To steal a line from the great Lou Gehrig, I am the luckiest man in the world. All of us have our own personal hall of fame, and certainly in my hall of fame, the first inductee would be my marvelous wife of 48 years, Mary, 4 outstanding children, and as you might imagine, 11 unusual grandchildren. And certainly 2 in my hall would be my parents, who stressed throughout my life's both spiritual values and intellectual honesty. I had a raft of wonderful teachers in the Oklahoma City public school system in the 40s, and some really outstanding law professors at the University of Oklahoma that set a great example. When I got out of law school, people often ask, "Why did you go to Tulsa?" Well, the reason's very simple why I came to Tulsa. I had one job offer when I got out of law school, and that was at what then was a pretty good salary of $400 per month by J. Howard Edmondson. So I took that job as an assistant prosecutor, and then I had the good fortune of going into practice with a gentleman by the name of Robert D. Hudson, who was clearly the finest trial lawyer gentleman that I have ever had occasion to meet, and for 11 years he happened to be my mentor. Then I went to work with a law firm of Jones Givens, and then after a while I decided I might try to switch jobs, and instead of being an advocate, try to learn to be a good listener. And Senator David Boren at the time placed some faith in me and recommended me to President Carter, and I've been on the federal bench now for 21 years, and it's been quite a privilege and quite a challenge. Certainly in my hall of fame would be so many friends that I have here this evening that have enriched our lives, that is Mary's and mine, so much, and certainly enriched the communities in which all of you live. I do want to say this to all of you who are down here this evening for me and for Mary, and that is, I'm going to give you a personal exemption. You hereby are personally exempt from attending my funeral. You needn't be there. Now I said, "Mary, I'm going to include you in this offer." And Mary said, "Look, you leave me out of this. This is your deal. I want them at my funeral." So as far as funerals in the Brett department are concerned, you're batting 500, and that's really pretty good when it comes to funerals. Let me say something heartfelt in conclusion, although somewhat philosophical. Life, unfortunately, is filled with way too much pretense. My being up here this evening is a real good example of what I'm talking about. Once this pretense facade is pushed entirely aside, we're faced with the reality that we come into this world and spend all of our lives drinking from wells dug by others. I've come to the conclusion our purpose here in life is to perpetuate this legacy. As the Cherokees say, it's our job to ken the other fellow's worth. And hopefully in the process we can discover and we can tap into that eternal spring of living water that the Creator has so graciously provided, that's centered in the 2 most powerful forces in all the world, love and forgiveness. Thank you.